This episode might be one of the most important in this entire series, and I want to begin with something I need you to really hear. There is no judgment here, none. What we're exploring today is not about labeling behavior or assigning shame. It's about understanding, because there is a version of intimate experience that has nothing to do with desire and everything to do with disconnection. When we experience emotional or trauma, especially early in life, the body learns something very quickly. It's not safe to fully be here. And so as a protective mechanism, the psyche does something remarkable. It separates, not dramatically, not consciously, but the emotional self, the feeling, sensing, present self begins to step back from the physical body. This is called dissociation. And in its milder forms, many people experience it without ever realizing it has a name. You might recognize it as feeling numb during intimacy, even if you're physically present, or feeling like you're watching yourself from the outside, or just going through the motions without really feeling anything at all, or a kind of blankness where you're there but not really there. This disconnection from the body becomes a survival strategy, because if you can't fully feel, you can't be fully hurt. And if you're not quite present, you're somewhat protected. But the cost of that protection is enormous. Because when someone is disconnected from their body, the ability to access their own truth becomes blurred. The felt sense of yes or no, the inner knowing of what feels right, becomes very hard to reach. And so behaviors that might look like confidence from the outside, like multiple intimate partners, or giving the body freely and quickly, are often at their root something else entirely. There can be a search for connection, a search for validation, a way of feeling something in a system that has learned not to feel, or paradoxically, a way of avoiding the very intimacy the soul is craving, because physical closeness without emotional presence can feel safer than the vulnerability of being truly known. And there is also something deeper that can emerge from this place. When a person has been disconnected from their body for long enough, the body can begin to feel less like a home, more like something to use, something to offer, something to exchange. And in this state, it becomes possible and sometimes even logical to exchange the body for what feels like love, for attention, for safety, for survival. And for some women, that extends into situations where S is exchange for money or security. And again, I say this without judgment, because when someone is deeply separated from the truth of their own body, the line between what they genuinely choose and what they feel they have no other option for becomes very unclear. True feminine, intimate boundaries don't come from rules. They don't come from a list of what you should and shouldn't do. They come from connection, from being able to feel clearly in your body, this is right for me and this is not. But if you're disconnected from your body, those signals are incredibly difficult to access. So instead, you default to what's expected, to what keeps the peace, to what will make them stay. And each time you override your own truth, the disconnection deepens. Underneath all of this are the same core emotional imprints we continue to return to in this series. Shame, the belief that something about you is fundamentally wrong or unworthy. Guilt, the feeling that you have done something that makes you less deserving of real love. And fear, the terror of abandonment, of not being enough, of being left. And grief, perhaps the deepest of all, the grief for the moments where your boundaries weren't honoured, the grief for the times that you didn't feel safe enough to have any, and the grief for the body that you were perhaps never taught to fully inhabit. And yet, this is not where your story ends, because the body holds extraordinary capacity for healing. Through gentle, conscious reconnection, not forcing, not overwhelming, the body can begin to feel like home again. This is the heart of the Heart Awakening Revolution therapy approach. Now, we don't just change behavior. We work with a part of you that learned to leave, that learned disconnection, and that disconnection was safer than presence. And we gently, compassionately invite her back. As you reconnect, something profound shifts. Your body stops being something you give away and becomes somewhere you live. Your boundaries clarify. Your no becomes grounded. Your yes becomes truly yours. Now, in the next episode, we go into the emotional layer, the hidden feelings that are silently driving every pattern we've spoken about. Shame, guilt, fear, grief. These are not just emotions, they are stored energies, stored frequencies in your body and your energy body. And once you understand how they operate, everything will begin to make sense. So, see you in the next video.